So this is a part of our morning with you, and we're really grateful that our students have come to be part of a panel discussion. And so I'd like to just start by inviting our students to introduce themselves and tell us who you are, what grade you're in, and what town you live in. Does that sound good as a start? Okay.
So I'm Robert, and I am in 7th grade, and I live in Simsbury.
I'm Sadie. I'm in 8th grade, and I live in Middletown.
I'm Sophia. I'm in 9th grade, and I live in Windsor.
I'm Julian. I'm a sophomore, and I also live in Windsor.
I'm Shondia. I'm a senior, and I live in Hartford.
Thank you. So this is a time for you to ask questions of our students, and you can direct one to anyone on the panel, or if it's quite specific about a middle or an upper school experience, you can direct it to one of the students. So what are you wondering? You've been around a little bit. What are you wondering?
Why did you choose this school?
I choose it for several reasons. One of the reasons is the 1 hour and 20-minute blocks are really good because they help me concentrate, and I can work longer on a specific subject and not have to do lots of different subjects and not have enough time to finish them. And also, that's mainly it. I'll let someone
I think this was because of the name of food. Really good. And also the small classes. In my old school, it was really huge classes, and it was kind of you didn't really get, if you had a question, you kind of had to wait until everyone else finished their questions, or it was hard to get all your questions answered. And here, if you have a question, you can just, this classes are so small that the teachers can actually answer.
I think I chose Watkinson just because of that. I like the environment and their core values, just because they're way different than public school. Because here they're more focused about what you're actually learning and if you're actually comprehending it. But at the public school, they're talking about okay, you have Common Core and you have these things you have to do, but they just want to get through it. They don't care if you know it. You just have to go. You don't actually comprehend it. And that was a big thing for me. So, yeah.
I love this question, by the way. So my family is really fond of diversity within a community at school, and we found that at Watkinson. We really love that, not only with diversity ethnically or anything, but everybody is a thumbprint. They're all different, and that is one of the best things I find about Watkinson.
I chose Watkinson because of the community feel here. I remember my sister, she graduated from here in 2005, and I was just known as Shauna's little sister, and I came back years later, and they still remember me. They remember my name, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Not many people would really, stay invested in a sibling that didn't go to the school. So, yeah.
Oh, and also, there was when I was a new student. My first year was last year, and I went to a new student orientation, and I saw Mr. Crossman right off the bat, Mr. Crossman, Ms. Schrader, and off the bat, they knew who I was, and I knew that they cared about me, and I knew this was the right place for me.
Other questions?
I have a question for the middle schooler. What's the most challenging part of your day?
Ooh, that's a really tough question.
Could this be the most challenging part of your day?
I don't think so. It kind of depends. I think for most of my friends would agree with this on what subject you like the least.
I see.
Which can differ. I mean, I kind of tend to like math, science, and social studies, and not really writing that much. So writing may not be my favorite part. But I'll say, even though I really don't like writing, the writing class here is really intuitive, and I do kind of like it more than my old school. And it's just a little bit more, it's just better for me to comprehend and work with.
For today, my most challenging class was probably math, because I like math, but you move at a pace that you're not repeating things that you already know. So if you know something, you're on to the next thing. You have enough time to understand it, but you don't waste time on it. So that's challenging, but it's also good.
Yes.
I don't know if this was asked earlier, and this is for the upper school. What about your workload in the evening? What's typical for you guys?
Alright, so my workload's, okay, it's a good amount of workload. I usually, since I don't always do my homework like right away, I just like procrastinate a lot on it. It takes me a little bit longer than normal, but you do have a couple assignments a night.
Wow, I'm peppered with work this year. Just a lot of like writing assignments, but it's all doable, and if you like manage your time well, then you're gonna be set.
My workload is not a lot because I use my study hall blocks and they're the same hour and 20 minutes as a regular class. So as long as you do what you have to do during those blocks, you should be fine in the afternoon.
Can I break in there for a second and ask one of the teachers maybe what our sort of philosophy is on art, sort of from this side, from the administrative, educational?
Yeah, sure. So really, if you went out there and got on your Google machine and looked it up, there's not a lot of data that suggests that homework is a good, useful thing for student learning. It's more useful, the data says, for languages and math because those subjects really need a lot of repetition. In English and history, really, the homework that we give is about moving the curriculum, right? It's never going to be a worksheet that is just we're giving so the kid has homework. It's going to be, we've thought about it. Often I go into class, I think I know what I'm going to assign for homework, and then depending on what happens in class, I might give a different assignment, or I might give a shorter reading piece, whatever goes on. We're constantly calibrating and thinking about the homework. And our philosophy is that we want our kids to be happy. We want them to be challenged. We want them to be working hard. We want them to be thinking and learning, but we don't want to have a community of stressed out, miserable humans. And a lot of kids have sports, they have other activities, they have religious responsibilities, whatever. And so we try and have a balance of what we need to do to make sure that everyone's learning, everyone feels challenged, we're moving things along, but we never give homework for the sake of giving homework.
So can you guys tell me a little bit about what your advisement experience is like? How often do you meet? What does that look like? What do you guys discuss?
So we meet in advisory twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and there are several different advisories that you can join in. They have 2 to 3 teachers leading them, and it's basically just a group of students of all grade levels that just come together, and sometimes we talk, sometimes we do activities for like community building and other stuff like that. And also, sometimes we just have fun, like playing sports outside and challenging other advisories to playing, like kickball and stuff. So yeah.
My advisory is the Christina, Miro, and King Picard advisory. And Miss Miro is my math teacher as well. So yesterday I asked her for help in math and advisory, and we worked on the math homework that I couldn't quite get. And it was easier for me to understand today doing that. And Ms. Picard is my science teacher, and so sometimes if I have a question in science, I'll ask her then. Also, like, sometimes people will bring in food, and you just, like, have food. It's also kind of like in the middle of your classes, kind of like the beginning of the school day, and then you have advisory, you can kind of relax and talk to your friends that are in your grade. And it's, depending on if you're in middle school, it's all middle school, and if you're in high school, it's all high school. They don't really have advisories that are like upper school and middle school. But
You pretty much said it for me, but it's like a time where you just like talk with like other upper school students and like connect and just be together, I guess.
My advisory, I think, is the most fun. just to start off, just to warm up, we got bagels yesterday from Lock, Stocks, and Bagels, so that's automatically a win. But we also do sort of like, you know, mini presentation. One of my friends on the soccer team with me, coach always says, stay hydrated. So we carry around these gallon jugs of water. And so he did a presentation, or it was kind of a joke, but just stay hydrated. And recently I did one on the evolution of women's soccer, specifically internationally, and how like the women's team fought for like different stadiums, like the Rose Bowl, and which had an attendance of 90,000 people in the final. So that was pretty cool. And also we just talk about some like international issues and stuff.
Yeah, just to add on, I think my advisor was the best person. So advisory for the upper schoolers are made up of freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors. So you'll have a range in your advisory group, and that's especially good when it comes to 10th grade exhibitions. So the seniors and the juniors, they can speak to the 10th graders, give them advice on that big project that's a culmination of their freshman and sophomore year. So it's, of course, it's a fun place, but we do have conversations that are educational.
I'll just add that all advisors get copies of the students' grades and comments, and then every year there are advisory teacher conferences, and the student is part of that. So there's goal setting, but you loop with your advisor. So if you come in 6th grade, you're with that advisory 6, 7, and 8. So for 3 years, and the same in high school, 9 through 12, unless you wanted to change your advisor group, and there's a process by which you do that. It's pretty rarely done, but just so you know, yeah. And then you do sit with your advisors at all school, so you see them every day. Any other questions? Yes?
Do you ever have any free time during the day where you don't have advisory classes, where you're just on your own?
We have sometimes, if your classes are like really close together, like in the same building, you'll have a little free time to like do whatever you want, like 5 minutes or so, because the time in between blocks is like 5 minutes. But I've even had cases where like both my classes are in the same room, so I just kind of wait in the room and have a little free time to do kind of whatever.
One of my favorite parts about the school is you don't have to stay in the cafeteria for lunch. So a lot of times, like, we'll go sit outside and pick your tables when it's nice out, or if you finish lunch early, there's like a basketball court and there's basketballs you can play. You can eat in the pavilion out there. And there's like a lot of nice places you can eat. And then if you have time, you can also have free time outside. And then eating lunch doesn't feel like you're trapped inside you're trapped inside an area. You can be outside and it feels like free time.
For the upper school, in the middle of the day, instead of having our activities, we have activities after school. And so in the middle of the day, we have clubs. And so if you don't have a club that day to go to, clubs are like 20 minutes. You just either go see a teacher or you go outside and you're just talking with your friends and playing basketball or whatever you want to do until lunch. And that's kind of like relaxing free time.
Yeah, as Sophia mentioned, club time, that's a big one. Where you could do work, you could play basketball, you could hang out with your friends, do whatever. But also, like study halls, if you're on top of your work, then that's just like a free time for you, just listen to music and just chill out.
I was going to bring up the study halls. If you make high honors, you get that privilege to not stay in the AOC where you have to stay for the free block, for the study hall block. You get to, it's not a chill time, you should definitely do your work, but you get more privileges.
Yes?
So coming from other schools, different schools, how was the easy or difficult was the transition into this school?
For me, the transition into the school was extremely easy because I did it in 6th grade, so everyone was new, and we all made friends extremely quickly. Like, I had, like, maybe half the class were my friends before I could even remember their name. So, I'm not that good with names, but I still had a lot of friends, and And even this year, I've seen like already all these new kids who just come into 7th grade just being accepted in like under a week as friends, which is really nice to see.
My experience was a little bit challenging for me because I live half hour away and it's drive up every morning, but now it's kind of nice once I've gotten into the swing of it because you can kind of sleep in the car or do homework in the car, so that's really nice. But also at my old school, it was a lot less freedom and a lot less challenges. And so now at this school, when I got here, I felt a lot more sense of like trust and freedom. Like you don't have to, if you're going to your next class, you don't have to be with your teacher and stand in a straight line and she tells you where to like meet at the double doors, like stop at the double doors, walk to a stairwell. And you can actually walk somewhere on your own and it's a lot more freedom. So it kind of balanced itself out and then I got to really like it.
For my transition, it was pretty good. So I actually left Walkinson last year and then I came back this year. So after I left, it was like such a weird like transition, but like it was so good to be back this year. But it's like once you, like during the transition, you really appreciate like how much Walkinson affects you. But when I first came here, they're pretty inclusive. Like they just start talking to you or like they just want to be with you and it's like such a good feeling.
My transition last year was fairly difficult just because the workload. In 8th grade, I went to like a magnet school, like in that cult building with the big blue dome. And we literally like had no homework. And so then when I got into freshman year, we just had so much homework, not so much homework, but homework. We had to read the Odyssey. We had to read the Odyssey in spring break. But it was just difficult just based on the workload, but also at the same time it was quite easy just because you're so accepted like anywhere you go.
My transition at first it was a little hard because I came from a public school, a predominantly black school, and transitioning into a less diverse community was a little bit hard for me, but then I came to Watkinson. That was with all of the schools that I was applying to, so I was a little bit nervous, but then came to Watkinson and everyone is so ready to say hi to you on the first day. You don't eat lunch by yourself at all. I don't think I've ever eaten lunch alone my freshman year. People are so welcoming here, which is the reason why I came here, and they make the transition so smooth, and I think one thing that helps with that is the retreats that every grade goes on each year. That's where I made most of my friends, and that happens within the first few weeks of school. It happens in like September, and they changed the freshman one, but my freshman one was going to a place that we call Starvation Camp, but it's called Heifer Farms. The kids just called it that because they were, kids. But and you had to sleep with people that you didn't know, but I think having that experience really forced us to make friends, and you have those friends when you go back to Watkinson the next week, so it was very welcoming.
Yes?
Do you guys have a dress code?
No. That's the simple answer. Not really.
I think we do have a dress code. I think. I'm pretty sure. But I don't think, it's not that strict. Like you wear most everything, but like.
Unless you want to continue that.
Very constructivist approach.
That's actually kind of a good answer. I've been here long enough where we used to have a pretty hardcore dress code, and
Paid to wear jeans.
yes, you did have to pay. It went to a good cost. It wasn't like you paid the teachers. But, not that that's not good, but so we've gone through a number of iterations of that. But basically, the philosophy is this: we don't want the dress code to sort of get in the way of the studies and the students' experience. So you have to be respectful, right? There is a couple times, maybe once or twice a day, where at least one of our students is pushing the envelope on some way or the other. And And we have to, usually Ms. Birnbach as well, we'll have to draw that person aside and say, you can't do that, you can't wear this. And in rare cases, we'll have to send somebody home, or they'll have to come here. So the idea is that no skin in the strike zone, that's kind of one thing, and no disrespectful words on a t-shirt or a hat. But really, I don't even think it's much of a problem. I mean, you guys really don't think of it. You be yourself, dress comfortably but respectfully, and let's focus on the things that really matter instead of chasing after kids and having them tuck their shirt in. Right? So that's kind of my philosophy. Yeah. Yes.
How many kids are in each grade?
Yeah. I can run it off pretty quick. Yeah, so 6th grade is 12 this year, but we like to get up to 15. And then we go up to 2 sections in the 7th grade, and right now we're at 22 in the 7th grade. 29 in the 8th grade, which is, we're looking at sections of multiples of 15. That's when we start to get a little tight, so we could get to 30 or 31. But that class is nearly full. And then in the 9th grade, we go into the 3 sections, and we're at 37, 38? 39 now, okay, in the 9th grade. 50 in the 10th grade, and 53 in the 11th, which is very large for us, because those classes are that's a full class for us. And then we have 41 seniors, I believe, and 3 PGs. We have an academy program, which is a postgraduate year. For students that want to take an extra year to get ready for college. Yeah.
Yeah. This year, in the 8th grade, we gained 3 new girls, which is a big accomplishment. We had, last year, we had 6 girls, which is the same number we had in 6th grade, and 16 boys. And if anyone is going into 9th grade and is a girl, is very much appreciated.
You want to sit on the initial? Yeah. Yes?
If a student is struggling in a subject, what resources are given to help that student?
I'll let you guys answer and then I can fill in.
So one of the resources that can be given is just asking your teacher, and the teachers are really, really good about that. And if they see somebody struggling, they'll probably ask them what's going wrong and how they need help. And they're really, really kind. And I found they've actually helped me a lot with a lot of different things and answered a lot of my questions and put me back on track a lot. Another thing that you can choose to do is LSP, which is the Learning Skills Program, which you can have kind of a LSP teacher with your child, and they kind of coach your child and help them make sure everything's done on time. Like, I have an LSP teacher, and mine's really, really nice, and I think of her as a coach to me, and she really helps me a lot with certain things that confuse me.
I had a question about math, and I needed some extra help, and I asked my math teacher, and she said she has a class of 2 kids, I forget what block, E-block, not E-block, G-block. G-block. And it's a class of 6th graders, 2 kids that were in that higher math class. And she said, if you want to come in a block, you can come in and I'll give you some extra help. And so any blocks that are free, you can ask them for help and they'll give you help. And also, a big tool that I take advantage of a lot is email. You email them, and I email my teachers about like problems I have, and then
Most times if someone's struggling here at Watkinson, like the kid kind of knows, I feel like for my grade, I feel like the kid mostly knows that they're struggling, so most times they'll advocate, and then the teachers are right on it, trying to help you back or get you back up to pace.
Resources, if you need help, is basically everyone. Students, teachers, faculty, administrators. Just to be frank, I'm terrible at math. So I go to 2 of my friends in study hall, and so they usually help me out. And also, if you need help, you just talk to your teacher at the end of class and you'll sort something out.
Yeah, I agree. And I would just say go to your advisor. My advisor helps me with any problem that I have, and they're always willing to listen to you. And as for math, I know that they have a little mentor-mentee program here, and I was actually in it last year. My friend, she was in a higher math than me, and I was struggling in pre-calc, so if we had a study hall block together, which we did luckily, like she was helping me, and it was a part of the program, but we didn't have to be in like a set space. We could do it anywhere if we needed to.
Yeah, I'll just add on that the Learning Skills program that Robert alluded to is, that's been around for 40 years at Watkinson. We were the first school to do that. And about 35 to 40% of our students at Watkinson are in that program. Now, it's an added cost because it's a private tutor working one-on-one with students during a free period. So it's not resource room, it's not a pull-out program, it's a very different model than the public school. But these are trained teachers who specialize in learning strategies, and the idea is to teach compensatory strategies for students that they can then own, internalize and own, and be weaned off that extra help so that they're on their own and very independent. And the numbers bear that out in that the older students are generally have graduated out of that program, and so they're going to head on to college, and they've really reflected, and this is true of all the students, because we have a broad range at school, and we are in Watkinson, everybody has a better understanding of their learning style, because it's very healthy in terms of the teachers understanding that everybody learns differently. So we're very open about what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, whether you're in that program or not. And I think that's, so self-advocacy was mentioned here. If our students are leaving here with a great sense of themselves as learners and what their interests are, their strengths and their weaknesses, and how to work in groups together, these are skills that are going to carry them well for college and then beyond. So that's part of the philosophy of the school. But there are some students that come to Watkinson because of that program. And in admissions, it all starts in admissions where we look very carefully at a student's profile, including any testing that some parents might have, whether it's they're gifted and talented or they have a learning issue. You've got to be able to do college prep work, but within that, some students need a little extra help to do well, and some of the students in the Learning Skills program are the brightest in the whole school. They just might have executive function needs or time management, organizational help, and there's lots of kids, lots of adults who do that. But so anyway, that's the philosophy at our school around that. I know the bell went, and you guys need to get back to class, but I really want to thank you for coming out and being on our panel. And then we can continue to talk, and then so thanks you guys. All right, much appreciated. Okay. Yeah. So, other questions for any of us here, or some? I can also talk a little bit about the process for admissions and next steps if you're interested. So, yes.
I have a question about the program you're speaking of.
Yes.
How often does that person engage with the children?
Yes, that's a very good question. There are 4 or 5 different levels of support. So in the admissions process, we would work very carefully with that director of the program and the family to determine what level of support we felt was most efficacious and recommended. So, and it is different cost, obviously, the more meetings. So it's as if you were going to have a private tutor come to your home on a Saturday morning or Tuesday evening, but it's here at school. So those people are direct communication with the regular classroom teacher, and there's great communication there. And every Friday, if you're in that program, you get some communication from that teacher who really acts as a conduit between the main teachers and you. And so it ranges from, could be anywhere from $3,000 for the rest of the year to up to $10,000 for the whole course of the year, which sounds like a lot, but it's about the going rate of what you would pay a tutor.
So $3,000 a year. Does
Yes.
it issue 1 meeting a week, or?
So mostly it's 2 times a week. Okay, that's sort of the average for a 45-minute block, one-on-one. Sounds pretty good.
Do the kids that participate in attending classes at University of Hartford do that independent of the school? Is it something they pay for?
Yeah.
Et cetera?
So we have a great standing relationship with our neighbors, and they allow us to send a certain number of students over there free. So tuition is not covered. I mean, it is covered, sorry, except for registration fee, which is a nominal fee. If a student wants to take more classes than that, they'd have to work through the college counselor, and we have, it's called College Now, but they allow us to take another student.
I think it's worth saying about 37% of any of our graduating classes, those students have taken at least one course at the University of Hartford, and so they're going to college with college credit. So I think we like to talk about that. We love this relationship. We have, we're proximal. The kids don't have to walk on Bloomfield Avenue. They are literally our neighbors and among our best friends. So it's a real great relationship for a small school, right? Because the university has resources and, 7 colleges, so they can really serve our students who want to study beyond our curriculum.
And the classes are outside of this typical school day?
Yeah, generally. So right now, my daughter's a senior, is taking a calculus class next door, and it's 4:30 every Tuesday and Thursday. So she's worked out with the athletic director, who's also her coach, and she can leave practice early to get to that class, and that's perfectly acceptable with the coach. Obviously, she wants my daughter to be out there all the time because they want more practice time. But she understands that that's obviously academics come first. Yes.
So, can you talk a little bit about colleges and matriculation? And one of the things I think we like about the idea of Washington is that it's not a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
A couple of the answers have been there's academics, but there's balance, and it's student experience. What are the trade-offs with that, with what's available, what the college opportunities that come compared to other schools?
Great question.
So where are kids going?
Great question. Yeah, and we have a profile sheet up here that we send with our kids' packets to colleges that we update every year, and has a college list that includes probably the last 4 years of all of our graduates. You mentioned the word balance, and we've heard that here as well. So, we really have strived to create a good balance between high expectations and being a college prep place and preparing our kids with not overloading them and overwhelming them with a tremendous amount of busy work and stress. Now, within Watkinson, you can challenge yourself. Some students are taking 7, even 8 classes, which is a tremendous amount. Maybe they're in the dual diploma program. Maybe they're taking a course next door at the University of Hartford. Maybe they're the captain of a team and they're running a club. And their days are busy. Other students might be taking 6 classes. Maybe they're getting some learning skills help, and just to stay above water and be a successful student is a home run for them. And then you'll see the breadth and the diversity of our college list. We will put ourselves up against anyone. We've got our top kid got into Yale and Columbia last year, and so we're very proud that we can play with the big dogs and get our kids into any of those schools. But it has to be the right match, and that's really the most important thing, is that finding the right match, what's right for you. Our kids have a good track record of getting into their first or second choice school, and we work really carefully on building a list that's appropriate for those kids and really strong. Yeah.
I would just make, as a parent of a lifer who actually went on to his first choice college, these kids have schools when they get to college that other kids don't, because they know how to, you've heard all these kids say, talk to your professor. They know how to advocate for themselves, they know how to present their work, and they know how to talk to professors, and going from a small place to a big place is not a problem. So.
Yeah, I'll put you on the spot, Wendy, but you have I have a senior who's in the process right now, and I have a daughter, but that, Wendy, has a son who just started.
Yeah, so I didn't raise my hand because I was trying to think, which point do I want to make around this area. So the first point that I will make is that from the get-go, when you start talking about college, what they talk about is fit and finding the right fit. And that can be a huge range of options. And they know their child so well. I could not believe at graduation The teachers will get up and speak to every child, and they know them in a way that I could not have anticipated. Now, why does that matter? That matters because the teachers who know your child so well are not only advising them about which colleges they should look at, they're also participating in the writing of their recommendations. So when a college gets a recommendation from here, it's a packet, and it's this packet that is your child's emissary, that is a really accurate, spot-on, awesome representation. You may have heard that we don't offer APs, and that is sometimes a question. My son has found it has been absolutely no problem. He did take a class at the University of Hartford, and so to him and his workload and his experience, those two things have sort of equalized. The fact that he didn't have an AP didn't put him ahead in places that he could feed, but the class did. And I will tell you that he is having an amazing time. He is at Washington University in St. Louis, and he's doing engineering there. And he called me last week and said, he's called constantly to tell me how happy he is, how much he's loving his classes. And what he said to me last week was, Mom, if I didn't go to Watkinson, I think I would have crumbled. I'm watching people around me crumble. I'm not crumbling because I know how to speak up for myself. I know a teacher is not my adversary, they're my help. And I know that I can get through this. Like, I know how to break stuff down and go through steps. So those were the points that were in my head.
And just to add a little bit more about the AP, it was a very deliberate choice for Watkinson over many, many years not to offer AP classes because it's teaching to an exam, and it's teaching to a test, and it's everything that we feel is frankly wrong about teaching and learning. There's a time and place for content, and we have a rich, rigorous curriculum, but it's created by our expert faculty. And when you put the teaching and learning in the hands of passionate experts to create their own curriculum, the colleges recognize that Watkinson students are very, very strong when they come to them. So when they've accepted somebody, and we have a track record with a lot of, many, many schools, that they know of our dual diploma program, they know what our students' skills are, and they're very impressed with our kids. So I think in terms of the trade-off, the world is actually coming around to us because a lot of other private schools are now dropping AP in the last 10 years, 5 years, and even some public schools like Scarsdale High School, which is very la-di-da, high school filled with a lot of professional folks, and they wouldn't do something if it weren't, if it was going to hurt their kids. So again, very thoughtfully, our thoughtful approach to teaching and learning, and I think it's worked out really well for us. So you're happy to look at that list. Yeah. Yes?
Speaking really brief for this, a student who graduated here in 99, and I definitely mimic everything that you guys have spoken about. Watkinson tailors, whatever it is that you're looking for, Watkinson will assist you in tailoring that opportunity for you to be able to look at whatever school you're looking at. If it's something that's completely out of your reach, you're going to know that. The teacher's going to have a conversation with you. They're not discouraging you from anything, but they just want to open your eyes and say, okay, well, have you considered this? Have you considered that? Let's look at this, let's look at that. And you guys work together to kind of get to where you need to be. I got into my first choice school, Tufts University, and did really well there. So I think Watkinson offers a lot of great opportunities. I took classes over at the University of Hartford. It was awesome to be able to have those classes transfer over when you go to college. So wonderful, wonderful opportunity here.
Thank you. Are we getting close to?
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, John Burney. This is John, and he's the director of food services. He's gonna.
Hi. So it's lunchtime, and we're hoping you guys can stay and enjoy lunch today. The bell's going to ring shortly, so all the students will come in too. Today we have New England clam chowder at our soup station, kale and white bean, which is vegetarian, gluten-free. On the serving line, it's Friday, so we do pizza. We have vegetables from our garden that were harvested on Tuesday, fresh cabbage with some peppers sauteed in some grapeseed oil. And we have stuffed sole. So, salad bar, deli bar.
Awesome. Thank you, John. So just one more thing before we go. So we'll be around in case you want to ask any questions. Yep.
I was just going to say,
yeah.
I also graduated class of 99, so like Patty, we graduated together. I've had the experience as a student and not as a parent, and I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you might have, what my experience here has done for me post-Watkinson, because there's faces that were here when I was here and totally new faces as well. And it was fun for me to see a day again, and a smile that it brought to me on what is the same and what is so much more enhanced than even when I was here.
Are you going to stay for lunch? So, we'll be around for lunch. Come to the table here and sign up for for a day visit or a parent interview, student interview. Happy to talk to you about the process of